Hi class, this is going to be the first video for week 7. I'm going to break it into 2 parts, so there's going to be 2 videos for this week. The reason being is I can't do everything in ACE Labs because I can't get updates. So what I'm going to do is do the whole setup in ACE Labs, then show you another setup where there are actual updates that I can deploy those updates. So the first thing we need to do, incidentally, this video is about Windows Update Server. So the first thing I need to do is install Windows Update Server. Guys, when we first did the initial prereqs, I mentioned that we need to install it, but I never checked the box. So you might not have checked the box either. So what I'm going to do is go through the wizard to install Windows Update Services on my SCCM machine. Check the box, add all the additional features. I could put this in my SQL Server database, but I'm just going to use the internal database. I'm going to store all my updates in a C updates folder. Restart if necessary. I'm just going to check to verify my sound is working. I see that it is. So I'm just going to launch a post installation task. I didn't launch, so I'm going to launch it from up here. Oh, it's actually working. So while that's working, I'm going to do another section, but the only thing I'm going to do is launch it once so it drops out of the notification area and cancel it. I really don't want to configure anything in the WSUS. I want to do everything from SCCM. But if you already have a pre-existing WSUS infrastructure, you can use that and you just install a site server on that and configure SCCM. It won't have any conflicts with WSUS server settings because we'll just overwrite them. Incidentally, while I'm thinking about this, if you do have a policy in place for your current WSUS machine, you want to disable that. So I'm going to go into group policy management. We don't want to use group policies to push out updates. We want to just make sure we use our SCCM client to pull those updates. So if you have any settings here for WSUS, remove them, or if you have a separate policy, remove those as well. Trying to remember where it's at. So it's under computer configuration, policies, administrative templates, system, Windows updates, and in my case, I have these two enabled. So I'm just going to disable them. Oh, actually, just set them to not configured. Okay, so we don't want to have our clients use the WSUS directly. We're going to have the SCCM client grab the updates from the SCCM server. Okay, so while this is still working, I'm going to go to my SCCM console. I'm going to go to administration. I'm going to expand site configuration and highlight servers and site system roles. I'm going to right click, add a system role. Click next, directly connected to the internet. Next. I'm going to do a software update point. We're using the newer version of SCCM, not the older version. Microsoft's got away from port 80 and port 443 because by default, too many viruses or malicious software attack those ports. So in 2012 and later, they moved it over to port 8530 for HTTP and 8531 to HTTPS. Um, so we're going to go with this because that's what our WSUS server is. You might have configured a new WSUS server, 2012 or later, but you've configured to use port 80. We're going to use, we didn't do that. We're using the default port, which is 8530. This is going to be good for internet clients only. In your organization, you might want to support both internet and intranet. It's asking us to provide credentials for the WSUS server. We don't really need it, but I mean, in your organization, you might need it if it's on a different machine. But even if that was a different machine, I would still install a system site role on that machine. I'm just going to use an existing account. Where am I going to get my updates from? I'm going to get the updates from the Microsoft server. This is where the WSUS server is going to get its updates. I can create reports if things happen. This might generate a lot of messages, reporting events. If you have 300 clients that don't get an update, it's going to generate 300 reports or events rather. So be careful with doing this. It's going to say, how often do you want to synchronize? Generally, Microsoft releases updates every Tuesday, but they might release a critical update outside of the Update Tuesday schedule. If that's the case, you want to grab that and get that to your clients as quickly as possible. So I'm going to change it to 1 day. What do you want to do with software that's been replaced? So if there's an update, and Microsoft updates that update, we can expire that old update so we don't have to deal with it. So if a new update replaces an older update, let's expire the older update so we don't have to play with this utility. We can run the clean wizard to clean that out manually if we wanted to. Right now I have no update, so I don't need to do this. I'm going to download all of this plus criticals. So this is the stuff I'm going to download. The more stuff you download, the bigger the database is going to be, so you need to be careful. So I'm going to use the default plus critical updates. Now, just to keep everything small, I'm going to only do 2012 servers. Because I haven't updated the software, I can't update it. I can't see 2016. But again, in ACE-IT Labs, I'm not going to actually get the updates. I'm going to do that in Hyper-V just so I can show you that setup. But For this one, I'm just going to choose 2012. You might choose Windows 10, whatever you have in your organization, but we can't do it because we can't update this server. And I'm going to unselect everything but English. Again, don't download languages that you don't use. Click next, next. I'm going to pause the video while this is working. Okay, I'm going to close this. That wizard is done. Now I'm going to go to software library, and I have this software updates now. So I can't really do a lot right now because I don't have updates. If you click on any of these nodes or any of the top two nodes, you can actually synchronize the updates, meaning grab the update catalogs from the Windows server. This doesn't actually download the updates. What happens is you download a catalog, you send that catalog out to the clients report back which updates they need, and then it downloads a catalog, it creates another catalog, a second catalog, um, and that's what will tell you which downloads are required. It's actually the clients that dictate if it's required, not the server itself. So you download one catalog of all the software, uh, of all the updates. You send it out to your clients. Your clients report back which ones are required, and then a second catalog is built that populates this list. So, guys, what we're going to do is I'm going to skip ahead and I'm going to do this automatic deployment rule. Once you get all your updates, you need to deploy all those updates. So instead of deploying each individual update, we'll create an automatic deployment rule. So I'm going to right click here, create an automatic deployment rule. So before I go, I should have created this. I'm going to create a folder under source files. In that folder, create one for automatic and manual. I'll show you where we need to use those folders later. So under our source files folder, create a security updates folder, an automatic and a manual. So I'm going to say this is auto deployed updates. I could send this to a particular set of clients, or I can create one for servers and for one for clients. Actually, I'm going to do one for clients and one for servers, and I'll show you why. Click OK. We don't have any software update group yet, so we're going to have to create a new software update rule every time it creates, every time it runs this wizard. And this kind of filters out which updates to apply automatically. Use Wake on LAN. You need to be careful with this because if you have a laptop that's closed and in a case and it's connected to this network, it could wake automatically up. It should automatically shut it down after it applies the updates, but you might have heat issues if that laptop is inside of a case closed and we wake it up automatically and apply this rule. So this is automatically going to agree to any, approve the update and the license, if there is any license. We're going to do it based on severity and required. You can use any of these attributes to filter out the updates that you want to apply. So for required task, we want to do one. Guys, you can look this up. This is uh, one means anything required, approve it. And for severity, we're going to say critical. So anything critical or required, we're going to install it with this automatic rule. When do we want to run this rule? I'm going to run it on schedule every day. It's better to send out a few updates every single day than try to wait 7 days and try to send updates to all your clients. Uh, that one day, if you have everything done once a week, you're going to get a lot of update storms, everyone trying to download and install the updates at one time. So this way, it's a little less harsh on your network. Based on the local time, every day, we want to apply these updates. If we put a deadline, we could say a specific time or as soon as possible. You need to be careful with this because when you give a deadline, you can also say if there's anything else that's pending, do it at the same time as you do this update. So if there's a deadline and there's other updates pending, you might as well get those out at the same time. Uh, so this right here will hide the software center and all notifications. Sometimes end users get scared when they start seeing these updates coming from the software center. So we'll just hide all the notification. If it's outside the maintenance window, allow the updates to go, restart the system. If we want to suppress restarts for our servers, we can do that. But this one is going to be done to our client. Remember, when we did the deployment settings, we chose clients. So for this one, we'll suppress any updates for servers. Actually, I'm just going to go back and just change that to all systems collection. I was going to make a separate one to suppress updates for servers, but we can define it here. I'm not dealing with embedded devices. More stuff about the restart. Do you want to generate a rule if it fails? That's fine. They're saying if this automatic wizard fails, not if something fails on the client. So yes, we want to generate a rule for that. If we have an operation manager in our system, in our network, we might want to inform that and make a rule there, make an alert there. If the client is on a slow, reliable network, what do we want to do? Download the software and from the distribution point or install, or just not do anything. We'll leave it to not do anything. So when the client comes back in our network, that's when it'll get the updates. What happens when the client isn't connected, it can't connect to the DP, its preferred DP. Let it get it from a fallback location. And we're going to use that branch cache feature and allow it to share its updates with other machines on the same subnet. We could force it to use a Microsoft update server if it can't reach the preferred distribution point. If it's on a meter connection, like like your cell phone has a meter connection, at that point you could still allow it to do that. We're not going to allow that in either case. We're going to wait till they get back in the network before we allow updates to occur. And we're going to create a deployment package, and And we're going to put that in our folder we created. Sorry, guys. So basically what we're going to do is this is where we're going to store our updates. Once we download the first catalog and we send it out to the clients and the clients say what's required or what's critical or things like that, it's going to report back to the SCCM. We're going to create a new catalog. And at that point, that's when the WSUS server is going to know what to download. So it's going to download it, put it in this location. Then from this location, send it to the distribution points. Here's our distribution point. I'll go back one. Oh, this is just creating where to put the package. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about this here. That's fine. It's just going to store the package in the same location, which is then sent to the distribution point. Now, where we're going to store our downloads, no, I was right. This is where it's going to download and put all the updates. Where are we going to get the updates from? We're going to download them from the internet. If your server isn't connected to the internet at all, you can download those and put those in a pre-staged environment, then have the WSUS server get them from here. So this is for when it downloads where it's going to store them. This is where it's going to download them from, in our case, the internet. But if your organization doesn't allow you to connect to Microsoft updates, you can manually download them, put them in a location, and then at that point, have this WSUS server get them from there. Only English. Next. Next. Then close. Guys, here's our deployment. There's the package ID. It's in progress. It's not going to really get anything because we can't get any updates. Guys, there's a lot of information here in monitoring. Sorry. Right here is our Windows Update Server. You can see the status of things right here. Again, nothing's going to work in ACE-IT. So we know that it just is what it is. So I'm going to go back to software library, and I'm going to continue the next video on my machine on Hyper-V where I can't get updates to show you the rest of these items. So for right now, this is where I'm going to end this video. I'm going to create another video, hopefully before the end of the day, showing those other updates. Okay, thank you.